In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the CTC tools to quickly go through your library of Revit families and pull out all the shared parameters. Most people have a library that's been built up over many years, and all the shared parameters in there, they can have come from different offices, manufacturers, whatever, and everybody's possibly been using different shared parameters. So we can see here a list of shared parameters. These have all incidentally just come directly out of the box Australian library from Autodesk. I'm then going to show you how we can fairly quickly, once again, pull a bit of a report like this that demonstrates exactly, the quality, if you like, of the families that we're looking at, and it's showing us different things. We'll come back and have a look at this report in more detail. So the first step to going through your library, and as I said, I went through the Autodesk out-of-the-box library for this video. What we want to do is use the CTC BIM Manager Suite, and in this suite we have here the family processor. So if I click on the family processor, and this dialog box goes out of screen, so I'll just size it to suit the screen. So in the family processor, we've got many different things that we can process. But what I want to have a look at is when we go to the select families here, and you can see here's the library. So effectively we're going to browse to the Australian library. I'll hit the search again. It'll find all the files. We can select all if we want to. That takes a little while, and then we can add them to our list down here. I'm not going to do that because that'll take a long time, but if I just wanted to grab a few items, for example, we can click the add selected files and it adds them. Then what we have is down here this ability to create a new shared parameters file from all unique shared parameters found in families. Okay, so we've got to give it a location and a name, and then we would go ahead and start processing. So I'd click the begin processing. It tells us what it's going to process, and I'll just back out of that and come to this processing order here, because you'll notice all I'm wanting to do is just grab the shared parameters. So I've unticked the option to process any of these other options in the other tabs up there. So back in my select families, the only thing I'm going to process is this shared parameter file. So click the begin processing, gives me that, and I'll hit the continue. And it's just going to go through and process all of that. We're not going to hang around and watch that for the video, of course. That'll take a while. If you've got a large library, you might want to break it into batches and process a few different batches overnight. Every time you process a new batch, though, you need to create a new shared parameter name because you can't overwrite an existing shared parameter file. All right, so when it's finished processing, you'll get a report, and at the end, I cancelled the process, but in the end, you'll get either a warning or something down here saying that a warning would typically say that there were no shared parameters found in this situation, or there'll be a success saying that it's created the shared parameter file. You may also get a warning saying that there are duplicate names, shared parameter names in the same file, which you would then need to go and resolve. So that's the grabbing out all the different shared parameters. The next thing we want to do is to go ahead and run an audit once again on these different families that we've got in our library. So that's using the BIM Manager Suite once again, and we've got the Family Checker tool here. So clicking on the Family Checker tool, it's a bit similar to the Family Processor, And once again, we'd browse to the location. We can search in subfolders, search again if we want to. Once again, we'd add files that we want to process. And as I said, I'm not going to go through and do this, but we'd hit the check families there and we'd go and start processing. So what options do we have available to us? If we go to the options tab here, first of all, the user initials. We can check the main parameter file, but we've also got this seek shared parameter file here. Now, Autodesk Seek is no longer around. They had particular standards. So you can actually replace this with your main shared parameter file if you want to, and you could have that there as an alternate shared parameter file. Would be another way to do that. We've got valid groups. So these are the parameter groups that we have inside families. You'll recognize those. And then we've got the different parameter types and what group they might logically sit in, and we can check against that. And we've also got some rule names. Okay, so we've got valid name parts, so we're saying they are valid name parts, but invalid name parts, we can see we've got a bunch of things here that are invalid, such as a hyphen, like a minus sign or a plus sign. We can consider them to be invalid in a parameter name because when we try to use them in a formula, they're going to cause issues for our formula. Same with many of these other symbols here. Okay. So as I say, once we've got our options set up, we go and hit the check families, and what we're going to get then is effectively not that summary page, but we're going to get this a report like this. And the purpose of this report, there's a lot in here that perhaps we need to do manually as well. So you can see here manual checking is recommended, but it's given us some explanation as to what's going on there as well. Now the purpose of this report here is that we can actually go through and manually change those as we want to say, yep, we've done that actually, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to change that to being optimal. Okay, so once we've done the manual checking, so we can actually go through this form which is created for every family. You can see there's a tab down here for each family, and fill out that form and make sure use it as a QA check. Okay, there's summary there. Back to the summary sheet. What I've tried to do here is actually just provide a summary sheet that gives us a good overview of where things are at. So you can see here, parameter names, we're saying that there's actions required, and keep in mind this has come from the Autodesk out-of-the-box library. We've got brackets in our parameter name. If I scroll down further, we'll find that we've got we've got minus signs in our parameter name. Okay, these are issues. We really shouldn't have parameter names like that. And if we looked in the shared parameter file, some of those would actually be shared parameters as well. Not great, right? So in this over here, for example, we've got this 2D ready. Now this one says optimal, this one says action required. So if I click on that, it's actually going to hyperlink me to that sheet, take me to the action required box here. And over here I can have a look at what actions they're saying. So they're saying the plan view named floor line contains the following visible 3D objects. What they're saying here is really, it's often better to use symbolic lines. Now that's not always the case, okay, but you can be better to use symbolic lines and filled regions and things like that. So, once again, we might come in here and have a bit of a look at that and go, yeah, that's actually okay the way it is, and we could change that to optimal. And you see it's updated here as well. Okay, so we can go through the process here and quickly highlight different issues that we've got. Now, some of the other things that I've pulled out here the subcategories here. So we've got action required. All right, here the action and the notes effectively is saying that elevation swing and is effectively a subcategory of the family category doors, and it's not used anywhere. Same with plan swing. So we've got all these doors here that have these subcategories in there. They're not actually being used. So that could potentially bring in subcategories to our project file that are never being used, but they just sit there in our project file and make a mess, and we're never really sure how to handle them in view templates and things like this, or object styles, right? Because we can't really see anywhere that it's having an impact, and that's because they've come in through families like this where they're not actually being used. Here's another interesting one. We've got the unnamed reference planes. I've misspelt that there, but anyway. So, I've put a bit of a conditional formatting in here and a bit of logic to go, well, hey, you know what, 27 unnamed reference planes. There's actually a lot of reference planes in a family. We probably should be naming them by the time we get to, I think I set it to about 25, 2, 3, maybe even 9 reference planes that are not named. You might go, yeah, look, that's all right. Down here, these ones here, these ones in yellow, once again, look, probably need checking. But, we might be okay with that. But so we can set up the conditional formatting on that as we like. Here's another one, number of types not in catalog. Okay, so what are the number of types stored inside the family? And once again, 5 up to 5, we're thinking, okay, once it gets over 5, well, we maybe need to be thinking about that. And, I don't know that we got anywhere. I said, 9, I think I said from 10 on, we really probably should be having them in a type catalog. Okay, we could change our conditional formatting to suit there as needed, but so you can see here from this summary page, we can get a really quick overview of things in our library that we need to look at. Now, the other thing we probably would like to incorporate with this, and if we were using the BIM data suite, or Hive, actually probably more to the point, we could be having a look at how often the different families are actually being used in projects within our company. We might have a look at this one here, and we might go, that might be everything is action required, but if we had a report on how often that door had been used, we might go, well, what, it never really gets used anyway, so let's just delete it. But if we saw that it was one that was getting used a lot, and we could see we've got some issues there with parameter names. Let's come back this way, actually. Oop. Maybe it's ones like this here, for example, where we've got some really bad parameter naming conventions in there, and we can see that we're using it a lot. Be a good idea to actually clean that up. So basically, with our suite of tools that are available through April and come from CTC, we can actually do a bit of a deep dive into your content libraries and provide you some really relevant and valuable feedback on what content is good, what content's bad, and what content, particularly if you're using Hive, what content you need to focus on first because it's being used the most.